You keep telling me to make it, yeah, to the spot where we would stay lit, and finish bottles never wasted, yeah, cause that's where I'm from.
Welcome to another episode of On Campus. I'm your host, Stephen Babb. Today I'm joined by a very special guest, Patricia Young, and she is the coordinator over in our Career Center here on the Fairfield campus. How are you doing, Patricia?
I'm well. How are you, Stephen?
Very good. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
So why don't you let our audience know a little bit about yourself, your background, and how you came to be the Career Center coordinator here at Solano.
Okay. Well, I am a Bay Area native, born and raised in Oakland, California. I am an Aggie, so UC Davis alumni, studied and majored in sociology, organizational studies, have always enjoyed people, so human resources was my goal of my major. After college, I actually worked for Northern Telecom as an intern and a recruiter in their HR division. And then I went to the state of California, where I worked in the Office of Statewide Health Planning and Development, doing recruiting for engineers and architects for them. That department oversees all of the state public hospitals and medical offices in the state of California, and the architects and engineers are the ones who design and renovate the facilities. So I was a recruiter for them. After that, I actually wound up in the insurance industry. Had no idea that that was like a lucrative industry and profession, but it really was. And I worked for State Farm Insurance as a claims adjuster on the fire and casualty side, so dealing with home losses. From there, I got into subrogation, which is more on the litigation side of it, so developing and determining causation and liability. And I really love that part. I worked with a lot of attorneys and fire chiefs and investigators. And so I did that until 2003. And we had our first child. So after that, I decided, and my husband and I decided that I should stay home. So I resigned from State Farm and stayed home for about 3.5 years with our daughter. And then decided, you know what? I love motherhood, but I really have more to give, and really chase after my dreams and what was inside of me for purpose. So I found a job at Solano Community College, which was local and in an education environment. So when I came here in 2007, I was hired on as an analyst in admissions and records, evaluating the nursing applications as well as degree petitions and anything related to transcript evaluations. So I stayed there, and then the position for the Career Center came open as the Career and Job Placement Coordinator. I applied and interviewed for that, and I was hired there. And I've been in the Career Center since 2012.
Oh.
Time flies when you're having fun and actually loving what you're doing. So the Career Center afforded me the opportunity not just to know the policies, but actually to engage with the students, which is where my passion was. So this position gives me the best of all worlds, really, because I get to interface with the faculty, staff, with the different programs that are on the campus, as well as engaging with our students and the community, because I engage every day with employers, potential employers, community organizations who are really interested in hiring on our Solano students and affording them opportunities to develop professional skills.
So that would bring me to my next question. You have quite the resume, and it seems like every position you've held so far has kind of led you to kind of the perfect marriage of all of your skills to this spot here as the jobs coordinator. So the Career Center, I have to say I'm a fairly new student here at Solano, and I had no idea that there was a Career Center until you actually came into one of my speech classes and did a presentation on all the different resources that the Career Center has for students here at Solano. Could you just touch a little bit more on the resources that are available here to the students on campus?
I sure would be happy to, because your experience, as far as not even realizing that this is a resource that's available, is not unique. And no matter how much we market and advertise, and I actually have just taken the philosophy, well, if they won't come to me, I'll go to them. So that's how it was invited into your classroom. I simply have reached out to faculty on campus in the different departments. Hey, invite me in. I'm happy to share whatever it is. I can customize your presentation. So that's what I've done. So our office actually provides services not only to our students, but to our alumni as well. So any of our Solano graduates and past attendees who have matriculated from our institution are eligible to utilize our services.
Oh, that's huge.
So what are the services? We help students by posting jobs every day. We have an online job board that's collegecentral.com/Solano. There, our Career Center will post positions, as well as the employers. They have the ability to self-post positions, and based on the student's profile, the employer can actually search their resume, their application, or what have you, and self-recruit them too. So we post the jobs daily. We subscribe to many different job boards and job posting sites, the city, county, different local jurisdictions, as well as private companies. So they're feeding us every day their jobs. So that's one of the things. The other thing we do also is that we provide assistance to students and the alumni when they come in and they need help with building a resume or fine-tuning a resume and customizing it for a particular position. So we'll do the resume review. Not a resume writer, but if I guarantee students, and this is what I tell them, if you do the work on the front end, by the time you and I are done, I guarantee you that you'll be able to walk out of the Career Center with a document that you can feel confident about passing out and passing on to employers for the goal of attaining a position.
And I think confidence is huge, especially for young college students that may not have even had their first job yet. So if I come to you and you give me tips on how to correct and fix a resume, then after that I might be confident about the document I have, but sitting in front of somebody is a lot different than staring at a piece of paper and feeling good about it. So if I was a young student, came to you with help, would you be able to help me, say, with an interview prep?
Absolutely. So we do offer, that's one of our other services, is providing and giving mock interviews. So each semester now, probably for the past 3 years, I've actually partnered with some of our counseling professors, as well as actually now the communication studies professor Rachel, and some other on-campus partners, and we are holding mock interviews for students. So it's structured really to give them a real feel for an interview. It's not uncommon for students to walk out and be like, you know what, Miss Patricia, I was so nervous. I was more nervous than I would have been on a real interview. And I'm like, well, it's designed that way. The questions are very structured. Everything is formal. They are to dress in a professional and interview attire. So it's done that way, and it's customized. The question I ask them when they schedule their appointment is, what is your major or career goal? And the reason being is that I structure the questions around, they're not technical, because what we've done is we've just asked the 7 most common questions. So tell me about yourself. How did you become interested in this particular career? What are your strengths and your weaknesses? Tell me about a time when. So I'll give them a situational interview question as well, that's specific to the field that they're interested in or the job that they're pursuing. And the reason being is that if it's a job that's enticing to them, then they're going to bring their A game, and they're going to do their very best in that interview setting. And if they can do that and nail it in that setting, then when they go into a live interview, it's just practice for them. So that is the joy and the fulfillment I get. I have met some amazing students through the mock interviewing process who are just changing the world, making it a better place. As a more mature adult, I am feeling really good about the position of our society in the hands of the generation that's carrying it now.
Yeah, I think that's huge. And I myself, I'm a little bit older than a lot of the other students on this campus. I've had 39 jobs. I've probably been interviewed probably 75 times.
Okay.
And if I would have had a resource such as that to help prep me way back when I first started working, I probably would have more jobs than 39 by now. But, I think the confidence that you develop with practice and with kind of just feeling comfortable when you go into an interview, having interviewed people for positions and been on the other side is huge, because when you have somebody that sits in front of you and they're kind of timid, they're not sure of themselves, maybe they don't have the self-confidence that somebody who has practiced would have, I think that would definitely go a long way in helping them get the job and present better to an employer.
Absolutely.
So, do you have any particular success stories that you can think of offhand of students that have used your resources there at the Career Center and how you've helped them kind of move on into something?
Absolutely. I'll probably start by just giving an example from each category. So an alumni who has utilized the services and really benefit from them, as well as a current student. So I had a young man who actually had graduated from UC Davis, but he had taken several classes to transfer to UC Davis at Solano. Well, he had been having a really difficult time securing any kind of work, and his major was engineering. So I had partnered with the college district's engineering company, and we presented a career evening on engineering and architecture. How do you emerge into the field, and what's expected, and what's the environment of it, and the hot topics within engineering and architecture. So after doing that, I established a rapport nevertheless with that management team. So when the young man came, I was able to pick up the phone, and of course I had reviewed his resume, had an extensive conversation with him about his interests and goals, what he had studied, and what his particular area of interest was within engineering. So I picked up the phone and I just simply called over. I said, hey, I have a young man who's our alumni. I think you need to meet him. And so based on the relationship and the rapport I had established with the employer, I said, bring him over. To make a long story short, that young man actually was hired on by that firm at their corporate office in Sacramento. And then probably about 3 months later, actually a little more than that, maybe 6 months later, I received through email a newsletter from the company where this young man was actually featured on the company newsletter as the employee of the month.
That's
and
amazing.
As a really strong hire. So that's just one success story of how I've been able to work with our alumni. And then as far as with our current students, I think even in one of the communication studies classes just this past semester, I came in, it was like a 2-part series. So the first class session I came in and I just spoke about the different steps involved with resumes, cover letters, how do you write them, job searching strategies or whatever. And I provided them with a lot of information by way of handouts and materials, and really just admonish them to, hey, look them over. I'm highlighting some things, but there are some nuggets hidden within these pages that you would really benefit from. So after that, I came back probably about 2 classes later, And one of the students there was just so excited. I mean, she greeted me at the door and was like, I just want you to know that I went over the materials that you handed out, and I recalled what you gave in your presentation. I implemented some of those things into my interview, and I got a job from it. So thank you. And you know what? That was more gratification, and that's exactly why I do this, because I love that. If I can just make a difference with one person, then I have success.
Oh, that is amazing. That's so awesome that not only can you help current students and kind of help prepare them for life after Solano, but also once they leave Solano, they still have a resource to come back to. Maybe they change careers, or maybe there's something else going on in their professional life. To have a place to kind of go back and maybe brush up on something, or just kind of, see what's out there as far as the job board goes, or, it sounds like you're very well connected as far as helping people, maybe not getting them an interview, but at least pointing them in the right direction to go for, maybe to help them with their future.
Absolutely. Yeah, our job is not to do job placement, but we do have connections, and if it's the right situation, absolutely. I've been on the other side of job searching before, so I know the stress and the frustration of a prolonged period without employment. And so I have empathy for those persons. So whatever it is I can do. I mean, there have been people who've walked into our center because we're in the 400 building, room 403. So when you walk into that 400 student services building, our doors are open pretty much all the time. So we're the first place that a lot of people will come. And there have been people who are just off the street or from the community who are in that situation, and you can hear or see and feel the desperation and the frustration. You know what? Have a seat. How can I help you? And just have that conversation to help them to really realize what skills and abilities are already in them. A lot of times people have a difficulty really identifying how what they've done will transfer over into what they're aspiring to do. And that's where my expertise will come in.
Yeah, and just I gotta say, Solano is very lucky to have you in the Career Center, and also very lucky to have these resources available to all the students here at Solano. And I think that's going to do it for our time here on campus today. I'd like to thank my guest, Patricia Young, the coordinator here at the Career Center on the Fairfield campus in Solano in the 400 building, room 403, excuse me. And if students would like to get in contact with you, do you have an email address that they can reach you at?
You can email careercenter@solano.edu. You can also phone us at 707-864-7124. Hit us on Facebook, SCC Career Center, Instagram, or on LinkedIn as well.
So there's no excuse for any of you out there that are watching this edition of On Campus. Get out there, help develop yourself to prepare yourself moving on in your professional careers with the Career Center here at Solano. I'm your host today. Thank you for joining us on Campus. I'm Stephen Babb, and until next time.
The exponential growth from the program from my first year to my third year now, that's what keeps me coming back and keeps me excited and just like fulfills me as a person.
It's so impressive, and we every time we walk in here, you guys are doing something different. It's great. It's
nothing but opportunities here, and we have sports to cover, we have the equipment.
Because the more ambitious you are, the more opportunities you'll have.
On-the-job training is huge.
You get the hands-on experience.
When someone asks who can do it, you can raise your hand and say, I can do it. So.
We're going to go to cut one. And cut one. Cross court to Audrey Jones. Audrey for three. And it's good!
it! With 1.3 seconds left on the game clock, Audrey Jones with one of the biggest shots.
The sky's the limit, really, with what we can do here.